Hello, and welcome to Proper Chat, a Love Island podcast. I am Nicole, one of your co-hosts for today, and I am here with my two other lovely co-hosts.
Hi, I'm Gabby.
Hi, it's me, your favorite South African.
And last but not least, our fourth host today is out. She was in London at the Taylor Swift concert, and then now she's in France. So I'm hoping she's enjoying her time, living her best life. Brana, heads up. If you are listening, we have a secret challenge for you in this episode. So if you're listening and you figure out the code, then you don't have to face a secret consequence. So just heads up about that. In this episode, we will cover Love Island Season 11, episodes 17 through 23. So spoiler alert, if you haven't seen those episodes yet, go back, watch them, then come listen to this podcast. We're going to cover the top 3 moments from the week. We're going to play our iconic tier ranking game, and then we'll give you the scoop on the streets and some Love Island gossip in your feeds. But before we get into it, let's get a high and a low from the group. Gabby, you want to go first? What's your high? What's your low from the week?
Yeah, my high is that we found out that there is a crazy cave that's only 30 minutes from our house, and we went to it, and it was so fun. It was like less than a mile hike. Incredible. And then you get to the swimming hole. You guys, it was so incredible. We have to go someday. But then you go to the swimming hole and then you can swim through the cave. And I mean, it's beautiful, stunning. And then underneath the cave, it was like really, really crazy experience, to be completely honest. I think this is like one of my favorite experiences that I've had in this area. And it's only 30 minutes from my house. I was shocked. So that was my biggest high. I could not believe that I found that, and I'm so happy because I got to take my family there and swim there, and it was like so much fun. Then my low was, I forgot what my low was. Oh my gosh, you guys, you would not believe what I did. So my driveway, it's on an incline.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a steep hill.
That's a very steep hill. And you know how far that driveway is, right? So it was a total accident. We have a side-by-side, which is like a smaller car that you can drive around. It's like bigger than a golf cart. I accidentally forgot to put the emergency parking on, and it freaking rolled down that hill full speed. And we saw it happen. And it was right as we had guests coming in from out of town. It was crazy. And I mean, it could have been way worse, way more
Was your gate
devastating.
open or closed?
Oh my gosh, Linka, it did not roll that far down, thankfully. But it was bad. Like it flipped, and it's a really heavy vehicle. It's really, really heavy. But then thank goodness, my husband Nick's exercise weightlifting came through because he was able to push it forward. But I genuinely think that it was probably like, I don't know, 500 pounds. It was wild.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a really heavy, I don't know, 500, 600. It's really, really heavy. Like normal people cannot move that vehicle. But
is it okay? It's fine?
Yeah, so it ended up being not much of a low. It's totally fine.
Okay.
Wow.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
What about you, Lenga?
I'll start with my low. The Oilers lost the Stanley Cup final yesterday, which was really sad. I mean, having been their number 1 fan for officially 6 months, it was very tough seeing them lose. But also we were saying, like, it's also really exciting that a team we randomly chose made it so far. And like, we knew nothing about hockey 6 months ago, and obviously now, like, I'm not saying we know everything, but like it's very interesting that like now we're like obsessed. But it kind of sucks like watching, because you just like, well, you want it so bad, and obviously the players want it bad, but you also just like, wow, it's been a journey, and it would have been so cool if they won.
Yeah.
So that was my low. And then my
Fun.
high was, well, technically yesterday it was a high. It was my boyfriend Jeremy's daughter's 18th birthday. So that was fun. I actually thought it was like 2 weeks ago, but I obviously so premature because Jeremy was like, no. But yes, we went out to like dinner. So we still got to celebrate after the Oilers, but it was it was a bummer. And oh, actually, one of I got her a gift that actually was I crowdsourced to our group chat, and
Yeah.
I ended up getting her I think the Lululemon Everywhere bag is that one. I
Nice.
think that's it. Yeah.
Yes.
So I got her that
Cute.
one, and she seemed to really like it because she was like, "Is it a fanny pack?" And I'm like, "Sort of," but it was more obviously because also she is going to art school in Amsterdam and I'm in the Netherlands, and it just thought it would be nice for her to sort of have like her belongings as close to her body as possible when she's out and about. But my other high, to go off a tangent, my real high was, I'm not real, but a second high was I went for dinner with my boyfriend Jeremy. We sometimes do monthly anniversary dinners, not as much like now, but like sometimes we just do them. And we went out at for like a 5:30 dinner. And actually it was really nice. Like I was like, wow, is this like the way to combat Sunday scaries? Because like the dinner, it's not too late, not
Mm.
too, especially in the summertime, right? Because like
Yeah.
you're at dinner until like an hour and a half or like 2 hours, depending on how long you're allowed to sit at the table. Because in San Francisco, they're like TikTok, honey, time is money.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was really nice. It was also such a like a nice dinner, especially because like we haven't had a lot of solo one-on-one time. So it was really good. And we returned to State Bird. I think Nicole, you had been before,
Oh,
Cute.
and the food was so good. Like, oh my gosh, like I wish I
Good.
had like 10,000 stomachs. The dessert was not my favorite, but in terms of like the actual like food that was coming out, and also the staff were just like so kind and so amazing, and the wine was good. So like it was like such a good way to spend like a Sunday summer like evening.
Delish. That's a great idea to like have a little treat before the end of your Sunday, but like
totally.
not too late so you don't feel like you didn't get a good night's sleep or whatever.
Yes, exactly. It's like it's like nice little gift for you before you rejoin corporate America.
Yeah.
How about you, Nicole? How's your week? What's your high and low of this past week?
Yeah. My low, easy right now. I'm like PMSing, so everything's stressing me out for no reason, which, happens. It's part of our monthly routine. But my high is also had a really good weekend. They're doing this program in the city where there's a bunch of musicians who play out in different sections of the city. It's like 40 different musicians in different spots around the city. And
Oh,
so Boris and I like made a little map of all of them and like walked around the city and listened to music
Oh,
and like he's been watching the Euro games, and so we paused, had some lunch, watched some Euro games, and then kept walking and listening to music, and it was like a perfect date for us.
I love
me.
that.
That
Another
sounds lovely.
Yeah, it was so good. Another high, guys, and I don't talk about my work that much because honestly, it's not that fun right now. But a series that I've been promoting, got like some crazy pickup this like in the past couple of days. Like the New York Times wrote about it, and so much so that Sarah Jessica Parker posted like a poster of it on her Insta, and so we were like fangirling at work, and
Oh, wow.
so that's exciting. Sarah Jessica Parker like is slightly more connected to me today than she was yesterday. I'll take it.
I love that.
That was my week.
Love that. Cool.
Well, sweet. Now we're going to talk about the top 3 moments from the week of Love Island. A reminder, this is episode 17 through 23. So if you haven't, go watch them, come back. This is going to be full of spoilers. The first event, the first major event from the week, came early in the week. It was Matilda and Connor walking in as bombshells. And then basically the Villaers got text saying that they were going to have dinner dates, which were the appetizer, the main, and the dessert. And Connor took Grace, Nicole, and Uma, which I thought was a very bold choice. These girls seem to be the most wifed up girls. And then Matilda took Will, Sean, and Omar on dinner dates. So that was interesting. Anyway, oh, and immediately during the dinner dates, Sean is putting it on Matilda, but also it seemed like she had chemistry with Omar. But yeah, wanted to get your perspective on the dinner dates. What it was everyone's thoughts and how they went.
I just to make a note, I might be wrong, but didn't Connor take Mimi and not Uma?
Oh, you're so right. It was
Yes.
Mimi.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I mean, those are like the most wifed up girls
Yes.
that you could
Still
think.
goes back to the
Seriously.
most
Yeah,
wiped up. Yes.
yeah,
Seriously.
and
She was even more wifed up than Uma.
totally. Because yeah, I think Uma could have been a little. If Uma would have been picked, maybe she could have swayed. Maybe, who knows? I mean, he had so many options of girls that were just like waiting, right? Like Jess could have been a great option. Harriet. Yeah, it was pretty crazy that he picked those. And I feel like that was the start of why he went wrong. Not that he
Later
went that
on.
wrong, but yeah, just like
Totally.
friend zoned himself by picking the girls that were wifed up and then
Agreed.
didn't give much of the other girls a chance.
Agreed, but I agree that it's also like you have to make a bold choice on who you think
Yeah.
you would get along with. So I would have like no like no worries, Connor, like it's in the past, but like if I were to pick coming in, I feel like I would pick someone who's like definitely my type and then try to find someone maybe who I could get along with. Like because it definitely tore the villa apart a little bit. It was like, who is this guy being so bold, right?
Mm-hmm. It was very interesting how he chose like Nicole for like the main, which I was like very interesting because I mean I feel like out of everyone from the jump she's just been Kieran, Kieran, Kieran. So that I'm like, well, that was like kind of interesting that he was like, well, I'm gonna try anyway. But I also think, I mean, I understand, like, I mean, him wanting Grace. I mean, she's really pretty, and also like you just like never know who and Joey are like kind of like a thing, but I also feel like she also still like trying to be open and open-minded. So I think like at least like there's like a little bit of like Grace saying she's open, but I think like the lights of like Nicole and Mimi were like those are two that just seemed perfectly fine in their couple and just like cuddling and quiet and staying out of the drama.
I know. And they were good at like also being like, hey, setting boundaries with Connor. Like, hey, I do really like I want you to feel welcome in the villa, but like Kieran's my guy and like we're pretty closed off and Mimi was pretty good at like setting and like it's letting him know that she's pretty wifed up as well. What are your thoughts on Matilda? I'm so curious about her.
I was gonna put just one more note on Connor. My note is that no one that I just don't like dreadlocks. So it's just always it's like Connor with a K and he came with dreadlocks. I can't even take him that seriously. And also like his job is so complicated, not to bring back, but we'll go back to Matilda. It's just that the
Yeah.
whole time he was like, oh, I'm a rugby player. But when he meets them, he's like, oh, I'm a barber. But then I also sort of play rugby where it's like, which is your job, my guy?
Mm-hmm. That's
Anyway.
interesting. I did not pick up on that rugby versus barber. I just picked up on
Yeah.
the rugby. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Um,
weird.
yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. Connor gave off some bold moves and I appreciated that. Matilda picked maybe on the safer side with Sean, but and Omar, and I forget who the third person was that she picked.
Will.
Oh, Will. Okay, yeah. I mean, those are three safer options given that they like Will and Uma barely like started kind of getting
Well, I
on.
hadn't even kissed Steven yet at that point.
Totally. Yeah. So that would be like a safer option. I thought that Matilda and like Will for me is just not giving any like it's hard to tell what he's thinking. So that was a weird pick for me. I can't imagine them getting on, but it could have happened. So I mean, I feel like that was a good pick. Sean was just the best option for her because he was available. They kind of fit. I mean, when she was explaining like what her ideal type was, she kept saying like a nice guy. You can tell she was like very much like describing him.
Totally. I
Yeah.
couldn't tell if Will was like flirting with Matilda or was just being nice. Like he plays that card so well. That's like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a nice guy, get along with everyone, and like, oh, is this flirty? You know, like after their date, when he finally like went over to like clear things up with Uma, and Uma like was actually like, okay, I actually really like you. I think then he was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh crap, like, okay, got it, like put myself in check, like actually really do like Uma.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the Matilda thing was like deeper than the flirt or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I
And
think sorry, you can.
no, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think for me, I know as much as he was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna stay open and whatever, but also you can also like maybe that's just like the thing to say, right? You don't want to be like the person who just got you and you're like, actually, I just want to put my eggs because like a lot of people like, no, that's not the way to go. But I do feel like on his date with Uma, like wow, with that kid, like he seemed so keen. And even when she was like very open, not to just talk on not on Matilda, but just to say on Will, like for him to be like very excited when Uma was like, actually, you know what, I'm feeling you, whatever. And he was like, oh my gosh, like you should have told me this, blah, blah, blah. So it's also, he also says, you know what, at the end of the day, I also need reassurance. But then make it like, I know you're not kissing me, but I also want to like, I as a person who's trying to like you back, I also like, you know, sometimes it's nice to have the reassurance.
Totally. It was like a shift changed. And then it went from like, is he flirting with Matilda to like, okay, he's
Yeah.
fully invested and like
Yeah.
Uma's fully invested. And
Yeah.
that's great.
And I also think like Matilda is like pretty, but I don't, not to put women against each other, but like I guess like the best compliment she got like was in her eyes, like fine, like people were obsessed with them. But I also think Will was like, yeah, no, Uma is like a worldie. And he probably was like, yeah, I'm not going anywhere. No offense to Matilda, she's pretty, but I also, you know, Uma's just gorgeous. Every time I watch her, I'm like, how is she a person?
That's interesting. Yeah, no, I actually thought Matilda was like stunning. Her body, her whole vibe. I just thought she was such a warm, friendly girl. I was like, every guy's gonna want to talk to her. What a warm girl, like her smile, her bubbliness. I agree. Her eyes are like, guys, this is so crazy. She has hooded eyes, but she pulls those eyes off like that. That's amazing. She
Gabby
has
and the
hooded eyes.
hooded eyes.
She has
Explain,
hooded
give them
eyes.
background about the hooded eyes, Gabby,
Well,
because
because
you
I have
noticed.
hooded eyes. I have
Hmm.
hooded eyes and they're heavy on my eyes. So most of the time I'm like struggling so much to like keep them open. That's the truth. But Matilda, she pulls it off so well because her eyebrows are like they're so close to her eyes. It's incredible. And she has the straightest eyebrows. She's really beautiful. And her whole fashion choice, it's been like, whoa. Have you
Wow.
guys, do you agree or
Gabby's a Matilda fan. I can tell.
totally?
Apparently.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I'm an
I
Uma
did
fan too. I'm a
but
huge Uma
mhm,
fan. I'm a
mhm.
huge Uma
But
fan. Like, I
mhm,
love Uma. I think she's incredible. She's beautiful. And I have
mhm,
loved how, as we progress with Will, we are seeing her like no longer be guarded, no longer be like in this shell. She is like, it's like she's blossoming because now she's
mhm,
not uncomfortable or in fear as much. She's like
Mm.
really being her own. I literally both love like both of those girls. So I can't like,
mhm.
you know,
Same. Same. And
No,
they
but
actually seem to be besties in the villa. Like which
yes.
is so cute because I also love both of their personalities. So it like
yeah,
makes sense that they're like always like coming to each other in bed and cuddling. Like
Yeah.
truly.
they're my top two girls too. They seem
Mhm.
very
Same.
girls.
Same. Yeah, I like them. And I mean, I do, I think when you said to me about the warmth of Matilda, I felt it the same. I thought she was just really nice and just like very honest and just so kind. I think even like meeting the girls for the first time, like she just was like so happy to be there and happy to meet them. And even with the guys, like I feel like she came as like very bubbly and warm and wasn't like trying to be like too sexy or too whatever. I just thought she was just like, even when she saw Ronnie and she's like, Ronnie boy, and he was like, who is that? And everyone's like, not another girl Ronnie's hooked up with, but thank God it wasn't.
No, just a friend. Thank God.
And and I do like how she's like been a girl's girl and she's also sort of like setting expectations to the girls, like bad for him, yay for, you know. But I mean Harriet's still doing her things. It doesn't even matter.
Truly, yeah. Well, that brings
Yeah.
us to our number two situation, the number two of a big event from the week. So we had the second public vote and dumping from the villa. And both of the new islanders were saved. So then it came down to the couples. And the bottom couples were Jess and Omar, Tiffany and Ronnie, and Joey and Grace. And there was a pretty heated debate, but ultimately the villa decides to dump Omar and Tiffany, basically claiming that since Tiffany ended things with Ronnie, like her time was sort of up. And we saw sort of the behind the scenes of them making this decision, and Sean really advocated to send Omar home because he was also really like turning his head towards Matilda, even though Sean really wanted Matilda. So he he basically advocated for one of his best mates to be dumped. What are your thoughts on that? I really want to talk about this.
Horrible. Horrible. That changed my whole view on Sugar Man. Like, I could not watch the rest of that or even the episodes after without thinking like, how weird. If I was talking to someone and they were talking to someone, I would not try to get them out of the equation. Like, I would let them figure it out on their own, who they want to be with. I don't want to be taking someone from the competition out. Like, I want that person to want me as like their top choice. I just thought it was crazy that that was his thought process, and that it actually, when I was telling Nick about this, it, and I was like, oh yeah, so Omar left because Sean, they had a connection with the girl. He said, but he didn't say that out loud, right? Like, he didn't say his thought process. You just think that. And I was like, no, he actually said it out loud. He actually said, I want him gone because he's my competition.
Dude, yeah. And when
I'm
he said it,
shook.
I was shook. I was like, I cannot believe this man is vocalizing this. Like, because you can
Yeah.
feel that. You can be like, ooh, like deep down, like I have this secret wish that like if they leave, then I get to focus on Matilda. But like to say it out loud and then also use that as a tool to advocate it in the group and like push for it, that vote within the group. Wow, it was shady. Shady,
Super
shady.
shady. And the fact that that was like his closest friend in the villa, like Omar was his closest friend. I don't know. I just saw some bad, like really weird behavior. Like, I thought Omar was just pulling game, like trying to talk to Matilda, which obviously this is what it's all about. And he was kind of getting like weird about it. I just did not like that behavior at all. And honestly, I don't think Omar deserved to leave. Like, he would have had someone really compatible come up for him next if it wasn't Matilda.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I agree. I just felt bad about it. But then also in the end, it is sort of, as they said, it is Love Island, not Friend Island. And so I kind of understand, because I mean, sometimes you have to be like ruthless for what you want. And maybe that's the reason why I'm probably not like a CEO of corporate America, because I guess I'm not just that ruthless. But I think like maybe just to sometimes in life, to apparently to get ahead, you sometimes have to like make decisions like this. And I think like as much as Joey was like, it's not Friendship Island, and I'm like, okay, you're the last person that we're advocating, because you were just like upset with Omar just the last night because you were like, what's no competition with Grace. So I don't know. I just feel like for me, it's like, I think my moral compass, obviously I think it's terrible, but then when I actually think about it, they are at the end of the day like they are not really friends. Like, fine, we're friends, we're besties in a house, but I also think at the end of the day, it's like, you've got to do what you got to do, because like once this is over, like you find some people do make friends for life, but some people you're like, well, worst case scenario, I get love and then I kind of just go back to my usual life and my friends.
Yeah, right. And that's why Sean built his candy empire, because he is ruthless, secretly ruthless.
Yep.
The guy with his branding, I mean, we'll talk about it later, but the branding continues
Oh
even to
man.
the
Yeah, he
next
gives me the
game.
ick. He's just, it's too much. Like
Guys, I
it's
totally
too
agree.
much. It's too much. Like, we get it. Every girl that comes in, they're a candy, a watermelon. Like, oh my God, can you stop? Stop.
It's too
Advice
much.
to you is, it's too much. It's like, it was funny, maybe never, but like, stop bringing it by every single time. Like, it's cringe to watch. It's just, I'm just so done. I mean, I'm done with him. And that's
Totally.
sentence of, you remind me of a candy. Yeah, you know, you remind me of somebody that I hope they're voting off the island very soon.
Ooh, this. Yeah. Speaking of heart awkward situations, let's talk about the heart rate challenge, shall we? The third big moment from the week.
Hmm.
Honestly, I love the heart rate challenge. It's usually one of my favorite parts of the Love Island situation. So we have the couples who raced each other's hearts, and I'll kind of lay them out and then we can discuss. So Io raced heart was raced by Mimi. Connor's heart was raced by Matilda, question mark. Will's heart was raced by Uma, cute. Sean's heart was raced by Jess, strange. Joey's heart was raced by Nicole, also weird. And Ronnie's heart was raced by Jess. Ooh. And lastly, Kieran's heart was raced by Grace, which Nicole seemed visibly upset by this. Then we go to the girls, and Harriet's heart was raced by Ronnie. Matilda's was raced by Sean. Uma's was raced by Will. Mimi was raced by Connor, which is weird. Nicole by Kieran, which she was very like proud about and made a sassy comment. And then Jess was raised by Ronnie, other question mark, and then Grace, for whatever reason, by Io. And then at the very end, the Islanders get a text that Jess and Joey get to go on a date with Trey and Jesse. So some new bombshells coming into the villa. But before we talk about the bombshells, what did everyone think about the heart rate challenges? Were there any faves from this round?
Well, just to stop talking about Candyman, his outfit was so horrible. I
Like,
did not want to
why?
see it.
I can't
It's
believe
like,
that the producers let him lean into this so hard and that he allows it. He's like, sure, this is my brand. Let's go with it. Oh, it's just so
So
much.
cheap.
It's
Hmm.
so much.
it was not even sexy. Like it could have been so much better.
They could have
Horrible.
put a candy cane somewhere. They could have
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. They could have really played with the candy. They could have just
put.
had one big candy somewhere. Like it could have been so much better. Instead, he wore like swim trunks or something, like ch
Yeah, and they
children's swim
just
trunks.
stuck the stickers on there. It was so annoying because I also was like, and then you had like fine men like Io come through, and I was like, okay, if the Boeing's going down, I'm like, take me with you.
Oh,
Totally.
I
He
was
looks
like,
so
he's a
good.
whole snack. Whatever snacks they're serving on that flight, sign me up.
no, yeah.
Totally.
Io's outfit was definitely the best.
Mm.
Totally. From the
And then
men's
I,
side.
and then I thought Grace looked pretty great. Like I thought she
Oh,
looked like really sexy, really fun. Like I wish Uma had a bit outfit because obviously I adore her so much. But I just felt
Yes.
like I loved like Grace's outfit with like the whip. I just thought it was like so sexy. Not saying
all
particularly the
black.
dance moves weren't that like I think that none of the dance performances were giving for me really this time. But I
No.
will say like outfits wise, just Io and Grace because they just looked like such good outfits. The other ones I feel like they just bought them on like Amazon and they were like, okay, cool guys, we need these random outfits.
Totally.
Yes.
You know
I'm
who
tired of the Oh, sorry. I'm just gonna say I'm tired of the finger sucking. Every single girl sucked a finger, and I just didn't think that was cool. Like, is that all you had? You just
I
every single
noticed
girl.
that too. It was
And
like a
like how
move.
many yeah, and how many girls suck the same finger? That's disgusting. It was gross. I was really like, ugh, that was not fun to watch. Their dance moves were, I agree, were not that
Like
great.
Harriet did the splits and I was like, and
Oh man, I was gonna say I thought she did the best out of all the girls. Like, yes, there were some sexy dance moves, but I feel like Harriet actually like came in, like brought the energy, like started off at like a really good note and like ended with the splits and was just like she crushed it. And I thought the producers did not do her justice with her outfit as well. Like, what was she supposed to be? Like a sexy race car? What?
Horrible.
They were
My least
horrible.
favorite was Harriet's and Uma's. Uma's with the wings and stuff. It was just like not good.
Yeah, that was like definitely budget Victoria's Secret model. Like I feel like Uma could have just been so many other things. Yet that was I was just like, why? Even all the outfits were such a no. Like they were like, okay, this is where we're cutting budget this year.
Totally.
Yeah.
What did you all think of like the actual heart races? Like, were there any surprises or do we have thoughts on these? I feel like I go back and forth between like, ooh, this is like a way to make it juicy, and like, oh, this is kind of a silly game that like it really doesn't matter. What are your thoughts?
I thought,
I think
oh, I thought that making it, when they coincide, it's like, yay, they coincide. It's great. Like we're matching, move on. And then when it's always a weird conversation afterwards, like we'll see how Nicole and Kieran, what their conversation's going to be like, because Nicole got kind of pissed. And then also when Joey did not get Grace was kind of pissed too. And then one of the girls, I think Harriet, is like, "Oh, it's just a game," and she's like, "I know, babe, I know." Like she tells Harriet, like, "I know, babe, I know, like I know it's just a game," but it's
mhm.
like it got a little spicy.
Oh, I didn't
That's
notice
my thought.
that, but yeah, Nicole was visibly upset, and Kieran was also trying to be like, calm down, Nicole, and they were having like a little argument in front of everyone. Like, gosh, like they needed to have a conversation very quickly after that. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I did think it was very interesting that Grace's was by Io, also knowing she just came off a fight with Joey for liking what's his name, Omar. So very interesting that that's like, so it's like just being like, okay, cool, off that fight, but also this, and as well as Io. So that's very interesting, because I think with I just for me I just think like when Joey got upset at Omar about like, oh, there's no competition, I just was very curious, like, I don't want to always make something about all the time about race, but sometimes with like anger like that, it can have like kind of like racial undertones, just kind of being like, meaning, because also Omar was like, what did you mean there's no competition? Because it's like, because she's not into black guys, like what could it be? But then it's also like, well, maybe she is, because also Ayo turned her on with his pilot outfit. So maybe you might not know her type as much as you think maybe you have no idea what she's into. And then the fact
Yeah,
that like he was kicking off a fight on with Omar because what she had stated, when he
yeah,
actually said, like, Omar was like, I wish you spoke to me because maybe Grace took it as flirting, maybe speak to her. Because
oh,
even when Omar was gone, Grace was like, yeah, like, like still Omar and I, like, she kept bringing up him, and it's like, girl, he said he wasn't flirting with you, he said he was just talking to you. And I think maybe with Grace is like, she's like, as much as she's like can't really explore that much, because I mean at this point, like, Joey's been like, yeah, she's technically mine. And then I wanted to talk about, like, go back to the previous moment as well. I'm on this quickly, is that I didn't like the way that Joey kind of blamed them being in the bottom two couple on Grace, because he was like, we're not meant to be like the couple that are like the couple that the public isn't really voting for. We're meant to be the couple that that like that people are supposed to be like, yeah, we'll ride or die for them. So I didn't like that was what he was blaming, that he was blaming it all on them, versus like maybe I'm like the popular, maybe like the public is not voting for you, like
mhm,
maybe it's a mixture of both things, and I just don't think it's fair to like kind of blame Grace.
totally. Yeah, the whole Joey Omar situation, just to call it back to that too, like I think when Grace came in too, she naturally said, my type is like dark guys, dark features, like very much hinting it's Omar and Io, that type. And then to like constantly bring up the flirting, in quote unquote flirting, and then also say it's not an issue to Joey, and then Joey then just deciding to kick off anyway. Like it was not a nice situation, and like the way that it got very heated very quickly, I felt like you're right, had some like very aggressive undertones that were not appropriate and not well thought out.
To sum it up, Grace, has a completely different type than what Joey is. Is extremely clear, even to add on to what you all have brought up already with Omar. Connor, like how she handled the situation, going up to him, being friendly. Did she not just tell him that she was open to getting people in that conversation? She absolutely did. She said, "I'm open to meeting people. I'm not closed off." And then she's coming off pretty open in that discussion. And when he says, yeah, and you're one of the people that I'm interested in talking to, she smiles and doesn't push back at all. She's like, "Oh, that's nice," basically.
And
So she's being a little confusing.
yeah, and she said, "I'm happy to chat to you." Like, what?
What
That's
type
not a
of
closed
chat?
door.
Exactly. What type of
Yeah.
chat? Like, be specific. If you're just a friend, then say, "I'm happy to be here as a friend for you," and talk to any of the girls. Like, be specific. Grace, girl, she knows what she likes, and she's just the what's scary for her is that people are not gonna like her on the screen. I think this is my opinion, that people aren't gonna like her on the screen and say like, "Oh, she's like talking to people," or that in the villa she's gonna be uncomfortable because Joey is gonna throw a fit at her talking to other people. But she needs to let herself do that. She deserves that. She was a bombshell. She deserves to talk to people. She's not chained up to Joey. He's not even her type. He
I
didn't even treat
know,
her well outside of their vacation.
honestly. And I'm bored with the like, oh, they know each other outside the villa
Yeah, done.
storyline.
It was
Like,
a vacation. It was on vacation.
I'm like, isn't the
Yeah.
purpose to come to Love Island and meet new people? Like, why are we like playing with the past?
It's basically like X on the Beach is now on Love Island.
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah. No, we've never liked it. All right, so before we start our next game, we've decided to create a little challenge for our host that's out this week, Brana. So, Brana, if you're listening, if you don't text us a secret code of the eggplant emoji, then your punishment will be that you have to post a heart rate challenge dance to our TikTok. So, we're really excited if you don't make it to this part to see that because we know your dance skills. So, I'm pumped. But if you did hear this, obviously text us the eggplant emoji. And then if anybody wants to play along, go ahead and send us a eggplant emoji on our socials. But this
You're
game,
listening.
yeah. Now it's time for the infamous peer ranking game. This week we changed it up a little bit. And the categories of this week are 1, going strong, which means that we're playing it back, thinking that Casa is right around the corner, by the way. And we're thinking these are the couples that are going to stay strong and stay together through Casa. The second one is cracks are showing. So in that pair, there's either like one person that should be showing signs of potentially turning heads, or it just could be like we could see cracks in their relationship. And then Friendship Island, our usual. And then we can start off by talking about the people that have left. And we'll make this round a little bit quicker since we've already talked enough about most of Islanders. But is there anything you guys want to say more about Omar or our smiley girl, Tiffany? If not, bye.
Bye, you guys. You gave us some iconic moments, especially Tiffany with the bit of me, bit of you, but hate to see you gone.
Yeah, I feel like the TikToks were really good about
I
pulling
know.
her awesome little
She's gonna
remarks.
she's gonna get her phone like tomorrow, and it's just gonna be her voice on her TikTok over and over about the raspberries.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. But one moment about Tiffany, sorry, as a note is when she was friend zoning Ronnie, that was the craziest conversation I've ever heard. I was like, what is actually happening? Like,
Yeah.
luckily he read between the lines because I was like, what is she saying?
Wow, so true.
She did not make it clear.
Girl, what happened? Why was it so
Mm,
hard? I don't get it. We
mhm.
rehearsed. We were with the girls, we rehearsed. I truly don't know what happened. It was almost like she was walking and talking to him. She said, "I think we should just be friends." And then she sat down and like totally forgot the next lines. It was incredible.
Anyway.
Yeah. What do you guys think about, okay, so Ronnie has been through a roller coaster, and right now now right after Tiffany left, now Harriet has come in and gone back to the man, and now Jess is getting jealous, and there's a whole triangle again, like of emotions, not necessarily triangle of like love. And now Harriet and Ronnie have gone on a date, obviously, and now they're kind of like solid-ish. Thinks Harriet thinks that. But in my opinion, Ronnie is gonna be Ronnie, and he's gonna move to cracks are showing.
I would agree, and I put Harriet with him. Actually,
Totally.
how much do you guys think he actually likes Harriet? Like, do you think he does, or do you think he's just playing it safe? Because I don't see that chemistry.
Oh.
Like, even in the date, I was like, she came back and she was like, it's a totally different Ronnie. He was so serious. We like talked about serious stuff. And I was like, he made jokes the whole time. I did not see this side of him. Like, what do you see in this man? And also, does he see anything in you?
Totally agree. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just feel
I
like, what
don't
does she
know.
see in him? I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
Truly.
The fact that she came back after everything they went through, after he said her to her face, was like, was Joey's like, how about you go tell her right now? And then he goes and he says that to her, watches her cry, and then also just openly and challenges, going like, yeah, I'm a different guy. Look, I'm choosing her. But now, like, the basically the basis of what Harriet is setting that to make sure he really likes her is like, treat me like Tiffany, but better. That's kind of crazy.
It is crazy. I, I
Oh.
I saw someone make a comment about this in Reddit, and I kind of agree. I'm like, they were saying that Harriet, okay, maybe she's also playing this game. Maybe she
Yes.
wants to like continue on,
Mm.
like make it to Casa, like have the whole moment. And she gives reality star. Like she does give that to the
She's
camera.
always crying. I'm like, how, girl?
Yeah. So she might be playing, a part in this, not just Ronnie, it could be.
Oh, she might like come out of this thinking she's like the biggest winner now that she's been like gone that far.
Yeah.
And people are talking about her so much. Yeah. So another couple, we've already talked about Grace and Joey. Obviously, cracks are showing in that relationship. Another important or interesting thing that came up this week. So we saw like this break or this crack in the relationship of Kieran and Nicole, whereas last week we saw them really strong. He was wiped up, she was wiped up. Like it was very strong. And this week there's been some arguments. Also, we found out that Kieran's body count is so much higher than Nicole thought that she could handle, given that she kind of freaked out by hearing that he's 21 and has a body count of 120. So what do you guys think about that? Are cracks showing, or do you guys think that they're going strong?
I don't know. After the heart rate challenge and the whole body count situation, I think I have to put them in cracks are showing just because they've been getting in one too many arguments and also just getting a little jealous and like haven't been able to recover. Like they have a conversation, they both are like, "Oh, I feel better," but then it gets brought up so many more times later. Like this is going to be really, really hard in when they're actually separated in Casa.
I definitely think it is a crack showing, but I will say, like, one of the conversations that I was like, wow, Kieran, for a young guy, like I feel like I spoke last week about his conflict resolution, but I feel like when they had the fight about that weird ignoring game thing and the way he like approached her being like, I just feel like the way he spoke to her was like, I know what I did was out of line, and I actually wish you would have been more straightforward with me as to like, hey, you hurt me, dot, 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 instead of like you ignoring me or instead of you whatever. And then I think he was like, but then do you also understand, like, because like nobody, like you weren't honest with the true feeling, this was blown out of proportion. And I think that extinguished the fight, because sometimes, like, obviously we're all in relationships, and like a fight can like carry on, and if someone could actually just kind of like say like the point of the exercise, you like, yeah, that's actually true, and then you can talk through it and move on. So I feel like he's pretty good at those kind of things, and maybe I think for what's her name? I've got her name, but her sake is
Nicole.
that Nicole's sake is maybe she also maybe hasn't been in like relationships where like that kind of like open communication and you can honestly say when something's bothering you instead of like stonewalling, being annoyed. And I think like she's like, I think if this works out, I think this could be a good partnership, because I feel like maybe the 150 women he's been with or the older woman he's been with might have taught him actually like great communication, because I just feel like this is the second time where I've noticed that he is so good at conflict resolution. And again, but still can be a
Totally.
dickhead, but I still think he's still good. I think it's still such a good trait for his like for someone also so young.
Totally, yeah.
Linga,
It's
totally agree.
such a good point. Yeah, and thanks for sharing that. I think maybe the cracks here then could be Nicole, like her insecurities and not being able to like deal with maybe some of the insecurities that she has about his body count and like the heart rate challenge, because it does keep getting brought up over and over.
Yeah.
I don't
Like,
necessarily think that we need to put them both in cracks are showing. Like, I feel like I 100% agree with everything that Linga said. He has shown like a really interesting trait, which I did not expect from the guy that we were calling like the young 21-year-old. Another impressive thing is like he really stood up for his friend when they were like throwing Omar under the bus and trying to like let him go. He like stood up for him and was like really pushing. And I just thought that the way that he communicated that even after the challenge to Sugar Man, like he was like really trying to make him understand why that in his perspective, like he didn't understand why he would send Omar home. So in my opinion, during Casa, what's gonna happen is Kieran is gonna stay strong, like he's gonna stay loyal to Nicole, and Nicole's is gonna show that cracks were showing in that relationship, and she's gonna like go and kind of venture out. That's my thought.
Yeah, I'm happy to put him in going strong and her and cracks are showing just to see, because you're right. I think he is showing some mature signs and I'm interested how it shows in Casa.
Yeah. So next is Jess, which is very clear. She's in Friendship Island. I don't think she's found her match yet. But what do you guys think about Sean and Matilda? I would say it's like pretty early on. But one of them for me is going strong. One of them for me is cracks are showing. What do you guys think on those both, or
So hard to
either
tell.
of
I
them?
really like Matilda, but I can't read her yet. Like she seems to be saying all the right things, but like I don't see her being the same that Sean is to her. You know what I mean? Like she says
yeah,
like, "Oh, I
she's
like when
loving the ex. Mhm.
a guy puts it on me and like is super confident and like I love that he's so cute, he makes me breakfast." But it's like so much. Like it would be
Mm-hmm.
nice to see if she reciprocated any of
Yeah.
these like actions to Sean as
Mhm.
well.
I agree. Also, she's very new. So I would say if we had Casa next week, I wouldn't be surprised if she found a better match.
Totally.
Sorry, Sean. Io and Mimi seem to be going strong. Do you guys see that changing in Casa?
I think my thing about Io is like, I guess he's like, it's a game, whatever, but I feel in like, for example, because obviously he said that Uma's the like the islander who he has like the most sexual chemistry with. And I think like as much as like, oh, it's a game, haha, but it's also like, yeah, you didn't need to do that.
That was too
Because
much.
that
I
ship has
agree.
like sailed, and I think like sometimes people in challenges like kiss people because they're like, well, I want to kiss you again. Like sometimes people do that, right? They'll be like, oh, kiss the island you think is blah blah, but they'll be like, honestly, I don't think that about you. I just want to kiss you again. I think that's done often. So I feel like Io like acting like he has to like abide by the rules of the challenge by like, going to Uma again. I just is like, like why, it's like if you're into Mimi, like I get it, but also sometimes I'm like, maybe he doesn't like, maybe he does like Mimi and he likes like the thought of her because she goes to church and like that homey kind of thing, but maybe he isn't like actually like sexually attracted to her. And sometimes, maybe he was
Mm.
telling the truth, sort of. But so I feel like for him is like, I want to trust him, but I'm also like, I
I
don't
know
Yeah.
he
know.
really could have copped out in that challenge, and like so many people did in that challenge already. Like he didn't have to be like honest. He really didn't. He could have like thought about Mimi's feelings and done something different than that. But
Yeah.
I will say the way that they resolved the situation was that I feel like Mimi did express, "Hey dude, you could have copped out." like, I'm chilled about it, like, we're fine, but like, you have to understand my feelings were hurt when you did that. And he did apologize and they were able to resolve it. But I agree, there's like a situation where it's like, do we trust you yet, Io, or not? I think Casa will be a make or break for them. We'll see. I'm happy to
Agreed.
say that they're going strong now because I think they did resolve that situation. Um, but we'll
Yeah.
see.
And I do have, like, I do respect Mimi's opinions and feelings, and I can understand both of your perspectives. But I would say I have an opposing view while watching that. For me, I thought Io choosing Uma made a little bit more sense because they had already kissed before, and it was like pretty clear that that was someone that he had already had, like, he had already picked as someone he liked. So picking someone new to kiss someone new to me would have been a little bit more of a shocker versus like Uma was like, he could have literally chosen her, but he chose Mimi, and then they're going strong. And that was just a relationship that he had liked, in the past. So for me, it just made more sense. Yes, he didn't have to kiss her, so I understand that point of view. But in my opinion, like, if I like hearing Mimi, I probably wouldn't have been as surprised as if I was Mimi. I wouldn't have been as surprised if I was putting myself in her shoes, just because he did like her before.
Totally.
So that was my thought process during that whole thing. So I was a little shocked when that happened, and then once they talked about it, it made sense. Hearing her emotions and stuff. So an Islander that came, Connor, I feel like he hasn't found love because of the whole Joey Gray situation. I don't think he's gonna find love, so I'm gonna put him in Friendship Island unless you guys think otherwise.
No.
Okay, last couple would be then Uma and Will, who to me seem to be going strong. I can't imagine Will or Uma changing or switching for another pair. What do you guys
Same.
think?
They're my favorite couple so far. Like, and they seem like super into each other, but like on the same level. I think they're great.
Awesome. Well, that concludes our tier ranking game. We would love to hear everybody's thoughts. So please let us know on social media once we post this ranking. We'd love to hear what you thought of our predictions and whether or not you think Casa is next week.
What's the scoop on the streets? On the streets? Okay, time for scoop on the streets. Okay, so this is the part of the show where we'll be talking about what's happening online. And maybe by online, we mean the People's Newspaper, the Daily Mail, or the Sun, or maybe what people are saying on the streets of Reddit. So, Nicole, what's happening with Callum, our boy? No longer, I guess, a possible roommate for Casey, I hear.
I know. He, I guess, is over his lad's holiday. He is currently has a new girlfriend, and he posted a sort of a soft launch of this girl on his Instagram, sort of the back of her dress. But then the internet sort of discovered the dress and discovered the girl, and her name is Mina Amor, which is just a beautiful name. What the hell? She's a model influencer, and I guess she does some music as well. She's stunning. Good for him.
Good for him. He definitely seems like a relationship kind of guy, but obviously when he's single, I feel like he is single. I mean, as we gauged last season of like they were broken up and he'd slept with like 50 people already. But I think he's probably is pretty much a relationship guy, so I'm not surprised there. Good for him. And then Gabby, what happened with Messy Mitch?
So apparently he's been just talking about Anton. He's just throwing shade to Anton still. I mean, during the Love Island games, he was like always talking about Anton. He's still doing that in his social media. I was trying to find the clip where he was talking, but I bet it's like more on his stories. Couldn't find it, but Anton's pissed, and he's basically calling him out and saying like, "Hey, I'll fight you in the boxing rink." And he made a whole poll about it where he's asking people like, "Hey, do you want to see this? Like, is this something that you're excited about?" And everybody's like super excited for him to box Messy Mitch, which honestly, can you imagine that? I can't. Like, Anton is so much more fit than Messy Mitch. Like he's like actually training every single day. Like that would be so not equal
Oh
or
my
Mhm.
gosh. Imagine how
or
many girls though would love to see Messy Mitch get punched in the face that many times by
me.
Anton. Yeah, I know. Seriously.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I saw, I don't know if you guys heard this, but there was a little pop-up store opening up, a Love Island pop-up store in the UK. It opened up this week, but I didn't find this out and I didn't tell Brana. So
Oh
womp womp. That would have
no.
been really cool for Brana to go there, but well, she's in London, but I actually don't think it was in London. It's in another city, but I thought that was really cool that they're
Cute.
doing that.
Cute. Bring it to the US. We'll go.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
100%.
Please. And then my last one was, if you guys remember Love Island winners, Millie and Liam, she's just been very open. You know how they broke up for a little period of time, then they got back together. And now she is very open about being ready for an engagement. And so that's what I heard
Yeah.
on the streets is that she's waiting and ready for an engagement. So we might be seeing that come through, maybe.
Ooh, Liam, hurry up.
I
Yeah,
love
maybe.
that. They were like, Millie was definitely, actually, I think the season of Millie and Liam actually was the season Nicole and I watched together as well when we started becoming friends.
I
I don't know
agree.
if you
Aw.
remember, Nicole,
Yeah,
but yeah, this was the season that we watched. Well, we're not together, but we followed along, and like one of our first dates, you and I were like, as we literally spoke about like Love Island the whole time.
Oh, I
totally. Yeah.
remember this.
We
I think
bonded.
this was my first season because Nicole and I were on a walk too, and like she started mentioning that you guys watch Love Island. So that was my first season of watching Love Island, but I watched it
Okay.
later once the season had already finished.
Still counts.
It's a good season.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah, I just think Millie's so amazing, and I love that. I mean, also because Liam was also really young, I
Yeah.
think, when they
He was
first started
21.
dating. So I'm
Totally.
glad, like, in the end, like, he kind of like did the opposite of what Toby did to Chloe, you know? I mean, again, we don't know really what happened there, but I always had opportunity to throw shade at Toby. But I'm so glad that like Millie and Liam, like they just seemed like a really good match. And obviously he's made mistakes, but it seems like obviously he's like, you know, rebuilt the trust and stuff. So I love that for them.
Love that for them.
Who wrote stuff about our girl Samantha?
That was me. You guys, she just left the villa and she already has a fashion deal. Apparently, she was like kind of going back and forth on a couple different options, and it's this brand called Glamify. And it
Yeah.
already launches. She gets like a special collection and it already launches like in July 5th, like early July. So this girl came out, she's doing the press junket, she's getting her fashion deals, she is working for the coin because she did not get a lover in Love Island, unfortunately.
Good
Love
for
to see it.
her.
It
Yeah,
seems
Yeah,
like
really
a
excited
cute
for her.
brand too. It's like loungewear and like
yeah,
more casual. So we'll see what her line is.
And she looks
yeah.
beautiful. She looks stunning. Like she's glowing.
Yeah,
What
she
is
looks
different about
so
her?
different than like in the villa. I don't know if the lighting was bad or they just
Yeah.
were like aging her. But when you see her
Mm-hmm.
like on the circuit with like podcasts and stuff, like she looks
Amazing.
amazing.
She
Yeah.
does. She
What the
does.
heck? I just don't
Yeah.
get what happened. In literally seconds, the next day she was on social. She had someone save so many trends on her TikTok because she literally got her phone back and started doing all the trends on TikTok. It was crazy.
I
She
mean,
was
good
ready.
for
She
her.
has a
Might as
team.
well. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, speaking of other people who are young, but the show makes them look old, apparently and then maybe also just also we also kind of touched on it earlier, is that apparently like the people of Reddit also agree. I know we mentioned this earlier, is that they think that she's a game player and that she's actually only acting interested in Ron to just stay on the show. Like I know you both discussed it and called it a little bit earlier, but I think the streets are talking, and who knows actually. So maybe Ron and Harry are just like the game players of the season.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
She is literally the talk of every single social media. It starts with her hair.
Her
I
walk.
her
Her
walk, her
walk
hair,
with
her
the
walk. her cries, her everything. Like Harriet, I don't know if she came in with a strategy, but it's definitely working.
Yeah.
Starting with her hair, like it's crazy because before she even went on the show, I literally saw the girl that did her hair do a whole thing about how she did her hair. And now it's like that video is not aging well because of how her hair is holding up there. Like it's not really working. Or
Yeah,
maybe
and
her hair is just freezing up. I don't know what's happening.
and weirdly, like I saw Patsy and someone else do an interview, and Patsy said that Harriet helps other girls with their hair. Like she's like the girl that like helps people with their hair as well. I'm like,
Maybe
well,
she's
she
prioritizing other people
enough
instead of
focusing
herself.
on herself while
That's
also being a game
hilarious.
player because she wants people to talk about her bad hair. It's full circle, right? Something about
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, I don't know, but if anyone knows about what's happening with Harriet and her hair, please reach out to us on our socials so we always stay up to date with the scoops on the street.
Thanks for joining everyone with this episode. Just to recap, we will be back in your feeds next week on Thursday. If you need more content throughout the week and you miss us, you can follow us at Proper Chat Pod on TikTok and Instagram. If you'd like to support the show, you can follow us there. You can give us a rating. You can follow us on all of the places that you get your podcasts. Or you can tell a friend. We would love it if you shared this with your bestie. Until then, stay proper and stay chatting.